what they think, but I know what they am, and I think everything is drag. The fact that a man, wakes up in the morning and shaves and they get the haircut and they get rid of the grey and they put the boots on and the jeans, that's drag.
Yeah.
Your drag is to face the world, it's your uniform, and this is my uniform. But it's nothing to, I mean, hundreds and thousands of years ago, men were the ones that wore these things, and it's like now, it's not acceptable, you're supposed to be all macho, and it's just really sad that men are so trapped and in here. It's really sad. I see men, I think, you know what, you could have such fun.
Yeah.
And it's your friends and your girlfriend, and they're all cramping your style, and you're going to be on your deathbed, and you're going to say, if only I'd worn a wig and some high heels, just one.
Coming up, I find out how Pete nursed his mother through terminal cancer.
I opened the drawer, and there was this photograph of her old lady, leaning out over a boat, looking onto the horizons, and I just thought, she's free now. She's gone home, so... But, I miss her.
We also visit his home village of Port Sunlight, the place that Pete grew up in and swore he'd never return to. Burns is an extrovert character, yet having spent time with him, I can see that there is much more to him than we see in public. Pete grew up in an isolated village before breaking into the music business and eventually moving to London's Notting Hill. I felt that Pete was warming to me, so I asked him to take me to the house he once owned in Notting Hill where his mother Eva died.
I like to think Mum's in there, but no, I don't think she is. I think she's in my house.
I think she can be.
I want her to be in my house. She'd love it.
I think she's in your house too.
Well, on my journey, my mum, I was really famous.
This was the same as Spin, yeah.
After Spin, I was breaking in America, and on this particular day, I'd booked a photo shoot for my mum for Sunday magazine. And she arrived, and I walked into my other home, 7 Holland Park Avenue, and my dad was po-faced, and I knew. He said, your mum's got lung cancer, I just knew, and I thought, fuck. And then my manager at the time phoned up and said, you're on the Madonna tour. And I said, you didn't tell me about this. He said, no, we've done the merchandise deal, the record company said to go, and I said, Chris, my mum's got lung cancer, I'm not going on a Madonna tour. And he said to me, you'll go on that Madonna tour. I went, Chris, my mum's got lung cancer, and that's it, bang. And my mum was in shock, and I was like, what am I going to do? I wet the bed, actually.
God.
And the next morning, my answer machine went off, and I heard this voice saying, if you don't want your career to crawl around screaming, as your mother's going to do when she's in a hospice and be buried rotten of cancer, you'll do that tour. My mum heard it, and I thought, right, Mr. Manager, bye-bye. Change the phone number.
Horrible.
And I did run the streets. We were in the other flat for weeks, and she was sleeping on a camp bed. She never went home. How young is that? And I ran around the street for weeks with Lynn, and we walked down this street because it was cheaper than Holland Park at the time. And I saw this place, and I went, that's where she's going to be.
Pete put his career on hold for 11 months to nurse his mother through terminal lung cancer. Do you know what I see when you're talking to me and talking about your mother at this time? I see her looking fantastic, makeup on, and I actually see her almost as though you're standing behind her and she's sitting down. Almost as though there's a photograph taken, or...
I came to London, the day she was diagnosed, she came to London, I had a photo shoot with her the next day, and everyone was crying, and it's in all the Sunday, it's on the internet, there's a photo of me like this and Mum, and I'm crying, and she's looking right into that camera, and inside the magazine's face of my dad and me and Lynn, and they're crying, and you can tell, and I've been crying too, and she's looking right into that camera with the diamonds.
Professional.
Right into that camera.
Yeah.
Good Mum.
There's some memory of that I feel...
To do a photo shoot and you told you got six weeks to live, and you got terminal lung cancer, and then to turn up at a photo shoot, and she just looked great. Everyone was upset because they knew, and hushed whispers, and she was like, will you stop whispering? Yeah. And to me that's the only way. And I kept thinking I shouldn't be like this, I shouldn't be like the way she is, and it was like, I am that way, and it's like, come on, we'll do this.
Yeah.
I had to go and do these dates, I think in America. I didn't want to, she said, don't worry, I'll be here when you get back. It's like, okay, Mum, it's 2 weeks, and the tour of America was great, and I had a huge production. And I got to New York, the last show, and I thought, Mum's gone. And I was at the Westbury Hotel, and I got a phone call, she's gone. And I thought, oh my God, no, it's okay, she's gone now, it's all right, I'll do the show. Everyone's, in the industry, they thought, you heartless bastard, you did a show on the day your mum died, but I wasn't going to fly back, and, she was gone, and that's fine, but I did the show, and I went to Ohio for a break, and I didn't go to the funeral because I didn't want to see it. A lot of my friends, gay friends, went to the funeral because all the gay friends they idolised my mother.
Yeah.
And I came back here to clear her stuff out, and it was New Year's Eve, and I was in there, and this tremendous knocking ripped round the wall, and I was with Steve Coy, my drummer and ex-manager, and the knocking was so aggressive. Actually, the knocking started in New York on the afternoon she died, and the pictures fell off the wall.
Wow.
I forget all this, but it's, you know, your crystal balls that are...
opening your
your crystal balls are opening me and ectoplasm's about to spray. And the knocking started in the Westbury, and I went, that's Mum, and I went in there, and the knocking was so violent, it went like a circle around the building. And I said, that's Mum, and then I opened the drawer, and there was this photograph of her, old lady, you know, leaning out over a boat, looking onto the horizons, and I just thought, she's free now, she's gone home, so, but I miss her.
After meeting Pete in London, events took a turn for the worse, and Pete went into a deep depression. It was 3 months before I was able to meet him again. I had a strong sense there was so much more to the story of his relationship with his mother than he was able to tell me. With this in mind, I suggest we go back to where he grew up, hoping that this would stimulate memories of his childhood. Pete was born in Port Sunlight near Liverpool, a seemingly idyllic village specially built by Lever Brothers to house its factory staff, and where Pete's father, Francis Burns, worked. Pete agreed to meet me nearby. It was the first time in years that he'd been back there. The funny thing for me, even coming up to this place, to Port Sunlight, and just coming through this place, even before I saw you here, I was picking up these visual images, like photographs in my mind.
What were they?
To me, it was your mum. I felt as though it was your mum, but as a very, very young woman. Not as how she would have been the last time we did the reading, not somebody who came through when she had been ill and things like that. I was seeing almost like black and white stills of the woman. That's what it was like, to see all this collection of black and white stills. And I saw her, funnily enough, in really, really fantastic fur coat.
But she liked her
furs. But there was something amazing about this one. It wasn't just an ordinary fur. See how women had fox heads and things? But there was heads, or there was animals. And it was really, really grand, but she was very young. And the funny feeling I got was she was two people. This is what she was trying to make me aware of. It's as though she's in the other side, if you like, going through some kind of change and trying to reconcile a lot of the stuff from her past.
Yeah.
This is the feeling I get. And it's like coming through this place was almost like, to her, it was like coming down from that life.
It's more or less from very early childhood, I was very aware how unhappy she was here.
She's got this aloofness as a younger woman, and
she was
a
an
brightness.
aristocrat, you know, she was a German aristocrat, so she obviously was aloof, and to come somewhere like Port Sunlight to her was a living death. She'd done it to escape the war. And she'd ended up here with a son, which is my older brother. He's 11 years older than me, and she felt imprisoned here in Port Sunlight. And my memories, I don't think I've got really one good memory at Port Sunlight. All I remember as a child is sensing her pain and her feeling that she was in a living death here.
So what was it like growing up as a little boy in that house?
It was just incredibly lonely, and I had a red Indian headdress and a wigwam. It's documented in a photograph, and I lived in the wigwam. But now, you know, in all honesty, I lived in the wigwam because I didn't want to come out of the wigwam into what was going on in my house. I can always remember, it must have been 4 in the morning, being carried down the stairs in the house, and literal bedlam going on while she set up lights and mirrors and stuff like that. And she would do the most amazingly flawless makeup, and it would take her a couple of hours, and she'd still do all the housework. She didn't just do that, she did all the house. This is before alcoholism set in, this is very early on. But having to watch her do these things and everything, it was a learning curve, it was an experience, and it was a discipline that she, you know, she absolutely maintained. But I still think there's something a bit odd about getting your child up at 4 in the morning and making him, you know, sit there while you put on your makeup.
Totally. The sense I get at the moment is of this turnaround that she's trying to get through to you. And she's talking about somebody called Maria or Maria who's with her. I've met Maria or Maria who's in the spirit world with her. I feel this person standing beside her. There's another woman there. Not an old woman, I feel a woman, I don't know, maybe in her 50s or something like this. But I get the sense of this woman standing with her, as though the two of them are...
Her mother's name was Maria.
And well, she'll be in the spirit world then, obviously,
Yeah.
but